Hi, my name is Ruth Wright and I'm working at the University of Stirling with 𝙃𝙬𝙧𝙢𝙬𝙀 and Heather Price, as well as 𝘃𝑎𝑡ℎ𝑎𝑟𝑖𝑛𝑎 from Coventry University, Aileen Mill from Newcastle University, and Anna Novova from the Czech Academy of Sciences. My work focuses on understanding public awareness and perceptions of invasive non-native species in the United Kingdom, and today I'll be talking about the Harlequin ladybird, also known as the Asian lady beetle or Halloween ladybird, 𝘏𝘢𝘳𝙧𝙢𝙬𝙧𝙞𝙀𝙀. The United Kingdom is one of the most nature-depleted countries on Earth, and biological invasions are one of our key drivers of biodiversity loss. A 2023 CABI study estimated that invasive non-native species cost the UK £4 billion a year. To combat this, the Great Britain Non-Native Species Secretariat coordinates the non-native species strategy, risk assessments, biosecurity campaigns, and more. However, some biological invasions still occur. For example, Harlequin ladybirds were first recorded in England in 2004 and have since spread right across the British Isles, west to Ireland and up to Scotland as far north as the Shetland Islands. Unfortunately, they now cause negative impacts such as outcompeting, spreading disease to and predating native ladybirds, as well as social, economic and human health costs. To mitigate these impacts, it is vital to understand how people are interacting with Harlequin ladybirds and how they perceive the species. This will help us gain insight into the extent of the problem, what risks must be managed, and the level of public support for management. To assess public interest in Harlequin ladybirds and other invasive non-native species, I am using Google Trends. It provides data on the relative interest in different Google search terms over time. An absolute count of searches is not provided, but a metric between 0 and 100 is produced from a sample of all Google searches in a given time period. This can be compared to other search terms and is downloadable as a CSV file, allowing for analysis of trends in internet salience. Throughout this talk, the common name Harlequin ladybird is used to reflect the presentation of data from the occurrence of this English search term. My research also involves investigation of the internet salience of the scientific Latin name, 𝘏𝘢𝘳𝙧𝙢𝙬𝙧𝙀, although there is not time to present that here. As well as interest in Harlequin ladybirds, it's important to understand the nature of what's being said about them online. My aim is to discover if people are researching because they see a problem or to further positive interactions with the species. Using news platforms such as the Daily Mail Online, websites like the Natural History Museum, and social media such as Instagram, I am collecting text from UK sources and analysing the positive or negative sentiment contained within them. To do this, I'm using the sentiment analysis lexicon 𝑉EDA because it is designed for use on social media texts. 𝑉EDA is a set of words and emojis which have been assigned positive or negative values. Where these words appear in text, they are given positive or negative scores, with strengths of sentiment also determined by characteristics such as punctuation use. This graph shows the relative search volume for Harlequin ladybirds from 2004, when the Google Trends dataset begins, to 2025. The highest peak in search interest occurred in 2004, when Harlequin ladybirds were first recorded in the UK. After that, peaks in search interest occurred mainly in or around October, coinciding with the ladybirds entering people's homes to look for a sheltered spot to hibernate. Other peaks in search interest corresponded with events such as someone getting sepsis from a ladybird bite, and a swarm of ladybirds so large that it appeared in satellite images forming over the USA. However, we can see that most of the time there is very little interest in Harlequin ladybirds. Let's delve deeper into why that might be. 𝑉EDA sentiment analysis identified a slightly negative overall sentiment on online text about Harlequin ladybirds. Negative sentiment mostly related to the threat to native ladybirds, with words like danger and disease appearing repeatedly. Positive sentiment was often expressed in news articles to describe the efforts of academics and citizen scientists to map and contain the invasion. Meanwhile, positive sentiment in social media comments mostly referred to aesthetics and the photography skills of those posting about Harlequin ladybirds. The internet salience of Harlequin ladybirds is generally low, centered around events where humans come into contact with the species. Text analysis shows some understanding of the dangers Harlequin ladybirds pose to native ecosystems and human health, although experts point out in media communications that the risk to human health is small and ladybird diseases do not spread to humans. Preliminary results from ongoing work on the internet search interest for 126 invasive non-native species in the UK can offer insight into the factors affecting awareness and perceptions of Harlequin ladybirds. Firstly, some taxa gain more search interest than others. On average, invasive mammals such as American grey squirrels, Sciurus carolinensis, are searched more than other groups, perhaps because they're more similar to humans. Invertebrates are searched less, especially aquatic invertebrates such as the demon shrimp, 𝙃𝙖𝙧𝙢𝙬𝙧𝙀𝙧𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀𝙀, However, the Harlequin ladybird, indicated here as the ladybird-shaped outlier dot, is searched more than most invertebrates, perhaps due to its recent introduction, photographable aesthetic qualities, and proximity to humans, including even entering their homes. Secondly, relative Google search volume also increases as species length increases. This may be linked to the higher Google search interest for mammals. People are also more likely to search for large plants, which they may wish to grow or even buy online. Plants are easy to post about online because they cannot move fast, and many exist at least partially out of the water, making them easy to photograph. Harlequin ladybirds are small and can fly, making it harder for people to get a good look at them for ID purposes or to get good photographs without specialist macro equipment. Despite this, Instagram content clearly shows that people are getting good photos of Harlequin ladybirds, normally on vegetation, and producing ladybird art in other media. Thirdly, species which have been resident in the UK for longer attract, on average, higher search interest. Harlequin ladybirds may be less well known than other more established species such as Japanese knotweed, 𝘏𝑉𝑛𝑢𝑡ria japonica. However, we might expect Harlequin ladybirds to get higher search interest than species which were introduced to the UK slightly earlier and before the start of our data set, because our data includes the publicisation of and public interest in the first introduction of Harlequin ladybirds to the UK, whilst this is not captured for species such as the Asian clam, 𝘏𝑗𝑙𝑎 fluminea, which was introduced in 1998. Finally, species that are useful to humans attract higher internet search interest. Harlequin ladybirds have been used as biological control agents, especially against aphids, including in Belgium and France, from where it was just a short distance to spread to the United Kingdom. Harlequin ladybirds' biological control capability is not frequently mentioned in the online discourse, and other species have more varied uses. For example, the turkey oak Quercus cerris is an ornamental tree, as well as providing wood and being used in human and animal food. However, the utility of the Harlequin ladybird has led us to providing opportunities for its spread. It also shows the other side of the story of predation being a key impact mechanism, which leads to the Harlequin ladybirds being classified as invasive. These results suggest variability within public perceptions of invasive non-native species. We can begin to predict public perceptions based on characteristics such as size and residency time. However, Harlequin ladybirds appear to be a special case, gathering more search interest than predicted by these metrics. Aesthetics appear to play a role in this, which suggests that photography communities may be a good group to target for spreading public ecological and biosecurity information. Human-ladybird interactions and the recent introduction of the Harlequin ladybird also contribute to spikes of internet search interest in the species. This, combined with the fact that Harlequin ladybirds are generally presented negatively in online discourse, suggests that there will be support for research and management of the species. Harlequin ladybirds were introduced after widespread adoption of the internet, which presents an opportunity to use the internet as a tool for monitoring the invasion. People have already shown their willingness to report sightings to help assess the impacts on native ladybird populations through the UK Ladybird Survey, where records could be submitted in browser or via a mobile app. Therefore, Harlequin ladybirds could provide a model for public engagement in the science of biological invasions of other species. From this research, I would suggest that media presence, citizen science, and opportunities for the public to encounter the invasive species, for example, the balsam bashing invasive plant removal events in the UK, would help to bolster public understanding of the invasive species. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to find out more or follow the project as it progresses, please get in touch.